Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiteboard Finance. My name is Marco and I'm here to help you master your money and build your wealth. Bitcoin hits $100,000. It actually hits new all-time highs of almost $104,000 at the time of this recording. The reason I'm making this video, it was pretty much inevitable. You guys knew this video was coming, but I've been making Bitcoin videos on this channel since December of 2017. And the reason I've done that is because once you actually study Bitcoin and understand what money is and how finance actually works, it just becomes a no-brainer investment at that point. I will say that the headwinds have essentially become tailwinds at this point when it comes to government regulation, things like that. But the reason I've held Bitcoin since basically early of 2018, and I've continued buying since then, is because of all these books right here. So this isn't going to be a video where I'm just like screenshotting tweets and telling you about, hey, Bitcoin hit $100,000, great. But it's more of a psychological exercise to help you understand how I've held from basically $3,500 Bitcoin all the way to $104,000 Bitcoin at the time of this recording. It's because of these books right here and the amount of conviction I've had in this trade. And once you actually go super deep down the rabbit hole, you'll understand that Bitcoin is not a trade. It's just the greatest savings technology ever created and probably the best money humans have ever created in human history. So I'm going to go through this. I'm not going to explain every book, what it's about. I've already made videos about this. I made videos about this in 2022. I made this video, this video, this video. I had this tweet right here. This was March of 2024, earlier this year, but I've tweeted these types of tweets since basically 2020. If you haven't read these books, I highly suggest you read them in this order if you are Bitcoin curious. And in 2024, if you haven't taken the time to understand Bitcoin, you may want to dedicate a couple weekends of reading and hundreds of hours of podcasts and research and Twitter, but that's when you go deeper down the rabbit hole. So I'd say for a complete beginner, this was my journey of investing in Bitcoin since 2018. This book right here, The Bullish Case for Bitcoin, written by Vijay Boyapati. This is what I would start with. The second one is Inventing Bitcoin. This is written by Jan Pritzker. This will help you understand the technical side of Bitcoin if you're not a technical person. The classic, The Bitcoin Standard. This is written by Saifedean Ammous. Even if you're not a fan of Bitcoin, this book will help you understand the history of money and economics. This book is mostly not about Bitcoin. That's the ironic part. Then also, this one just came out maybe a few months back. This is Parker Lewis, Gradually Then Suddenly. I recommend this book, and read these in this order. I'm telling you them in this order for a reason. Layered Money by Nick Badia. This goes through the layers of global money, basically from historical perspective of money, like florins, things like that, all the way to gold-based layers to fiat currency. It's a great book. Price of Tomorrow, Jeff Booth. I actually interviewed Jeff Booth, and I also interviewed Vijay Boyapati, and I also interviewed Jan Pritzker. So I've interviewed a lot of the people, a lot of these authors that have written these books. The Price of Tomorrow is a great book. It's about how deflation is the hope for an abundant future. When you feel like you're getting priced out of everything, whether it's houses, cars, groceries, whatever, he presents a pretty interesting case about deflation. I would then read The Block Size War. This is getting into more of like Bitcoin history and lore. I also recommend, before The Block Size War, I recommend Broken Money by Lynn Alden. That'll put a nice little bow on the first 6 of these books. I have Broken Money. I just have no idea where it is. I may have given it to a friend. I can't find it for the life of me. Thank God for Bitcoin. If you are a religious person, this is more about the side of Christianity in Bitcoin, but also it's good for any religion almost, at least the major ones out there today. A lot of people, they follow my channel and they, think about interest and, rent and this and that and passive income. A lot of that is rent-seeking behavior, and a lot of that is usury. Usury is a sin in Christianity. It's also riba, it's haram in Islam. It just seems to be a rather new concept. 21 lessons, going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. This is another fun one. I'm running out of space here. I don't want it to hit my microphone. And then if you want to start getting down in the macro stuff, here's the Fiat Standard, also written by Saifedean Ammous, the author of the Bitcoin Standard. And then you can get into this classic. The reason I didn't suggest this in the beginning is because it's not necessarily for beginners, but Mastering Bitcoin by Andreas Antonopoulos. He's been on many, many, many podcasts, a lot of big ones over the years. And then also, if you want to get down the history of like central banking and fiat money and basically how finance works, Creature from Jekyll Island is a must-read. And then if you want to get into just like nonfiction, you have Atlas Shrugged. It's a good book. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I think it's a pretty good read. It's very big, though. And then the classics, you have Sovereign Individual. This is something I would highly recommend. This book was written many, many years ago, and it seems to be spot on. And then finally, The Fourth Turning. This talks about different stages of, I don't want to say an empire, but just different stages of society. So the reason for making this video is because these books allowed me to understand what I was buying. When people still, in 2024, when they conflate Bitcoin with crypto, you just get like this, like, ugh, it's like an icky, gross feeling, right? If you want to invest in altcoins, that's great, good for you. But I am Bitcoin only. I've been Bitcoin only for a very long time. The reason for that is because I truly believe that Bitcoin is the hardest, soundest form of money ever created. If you just look at the properties of money, it's not really debatable. Some people, you have old talking points. It's a Ponzi. It's greater fool theory. It's only worth what the last person wants to buy it for. Yeah, it's called a market. Okay, if I want to buy Microsoft, I'm going to pay somewhere in between the bid and the ask to buy a share of Microsoft, right? If I want to sell a car, you have a market for a car. If I have a 20-year-old rusted out Corolla, do you think anyone's going to buy it for $3 million? Probably not, right? So it's not necessarily greater fool theory. It's just creating a market. It's two able and willing buyers coming to a price point that they both agree upon. So once you actually understand how it works, I think the thing that prevents a lot of people from really understanding it is they don't understand the technical aspect and how the technology really makes it what it is in terms of monetary policy, in terms of how blocks are verified, in terms of how it comes into existence with mining, hashing essentially. These are the things that make Bitcoin extremely unique, and it makes it significantly more harder than fiat money, right? If you guys remember how much money they printed, and when I say printed, just inflation, in my opinion, the classical definition is more currency units being introduced into the system. That is the classical definition of inflation, right? Why do you think everything has gone up 20, 30, 50, 100%? Not all of that money from COVID actually went into the system. A lot of it stayed in banks and commercial banks. But it's undeniable that whether it's supply chain issues, whether it's corporate greed, whether it's money printing, whatever you want to call it, it's undeniable that the cost of living has become more and more unfeasible, especially for younger generations. Like I'm about to be 37 on December 10th. I'm right in the middle of millennial. All we've seen is 9/11, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, whatever, all this stuff I'm not going to get into. And all we've seen is stuff get more and more expensive relative to how much we earn in terms of wages. So at the end of the day, I think Bitcoin gives younger people hope. And also the thing I like about it is that we are forced to become financial speculators, whether you're a doctor, a plumber, a lawyer, a math person, an engineer. You're forced to become a financial speculator and a participant in financial markets because that's the only way to preserve/increase your purchasing power over time. Otherwise, like my old videos said, savers are losers. If I stuff 100 grand under my mattress in 2024, what do you think that $100,000 of green paper is going to buy 20 years later, 30 years later, right? 40 years from now, a Honda Accord is going to be 80 grand. Okay, that's not a joke. So when you understand that your fiat dollars are a melting ice cube, capital is going to flow into something that is able to preserve and increase your purchasing power over time. And yes, I understand if I made this video 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, governments can ban it. It's this, and this. You have all these old talking points from like 2014, 2015. It's 2024 now, and we have institutional money coming into the space. We have Bitcoin ETFs. 11 of these ETFs are huge wealth managers, BlackRock, Fidelity, you name it, Van Eck. And then you also have potential legislation like a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which I made a video about a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, I mean, if the United States buys one sat, one Satoshi, one millionth of a Bitcoin, it's going to $300,000 Bitcoin overnight, right? Because then nation states get involved and it's game over from there. So this is not some price pumping. This is not some crypto. I've lost so many subscribers over talking about Bitcoin over the years. It's not even funny. These people simply don't know what they don't know. They are looking for vanilla 1 + 1 = 2 financial advice, and that's fine, okay? And I will help provide that because I'm a big believer of understanding the fiat game and playing it with things like ETFs, index funds, S&P 500, but then I also understand the other side of it too. So you have to understand Bitcoin is more of a commodity than it is a currency at this point. But for it to become a currency, and it is used as a currency too, but it needs to become a store of value first, then it'll transition into sound money, then it'll transition into a currency. So we're still early. I know a lot of people see, oh, $102,000 Bitcoin, $100,000 Bitcoin, there's no way I can afford this. Bitcoin is divisible to 100 million spaces, okay? So you have one sat is 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin, okay? When you have 100 million sats, you have one Bitcoin. So my point to all of this is that what's able to keep me buying and holding Bitcoin for about 6.5, 7 years now are these books and just having my finger on the pulse of, again, it's not a trade, okay? This is not a trade. This is the greatest savings technology ever created. And if you want to unsubscribe or you don't agree with me, that's fine. That's awesome. Go watch Dave Ramsey. He calls Bitcoin the Iraqi dinar. People need to separate in their minds. You have Bitcoin, you have fiat, and then you have everything else. You have the crypto shitcoin casino. You have all the speculation, pump and dumps, all that stuff. Bitcoin is not that. Bitcoin is the hardest, soundest form of money ever created by humans, and I think we're still early. So if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe, share it with a friend or a family member who you care about. There's a lot of DMs that I get every day that say, hey, bro, you changed my life. I'm now worth hundreds of thousands of dollars because of this. But it's not about number go up, okay? Number go up is a byproduct of capital flowing into digital capital, the best digital capital ever, and that is Bitcoin. Number go up is what gets people's heart pumping and their attention and the headlines and all that stuff. But number go up is just a byproduct. And this is one of my favorite Bitcoin memes ever created. Okay, hopefully that gave you some perspective. Again, like the video, share, subscribe. I know I have 1 million subscribers. I don't get any views on these videos because no one really understands Bitcoin still in 2024. But the people that have been listening to me since 2017 know what time it is. Thank you so much and have a prosperous day.